Hi, and welcome to episode 140 of the Phil Swallow podcast. Now, this is a bit different. I'm recording it both in my usual audio way, and I'm also videoing it. And why am I doing that? I guess you may be thinking, well, YouTube, they like to push what creators do and give as much support as possible. And they said in a recent email, we think you should be looking at doing podcasts and releasing those via YouTube. Now, I've ummed and ahed over this for a while, but I thought, well, I'm already doing videos of different sort of forms and formats. More recently, been doing a lot of shorts, and I'll talk about that as we go through the show. But I thought, well, it ought to be fairly easy. You know, I've made 139 podcast episodes so far, starting, I think, maybe 2017, 18, something like that, to chart my photography journey. Initially, it was called Phil's Photography Journey. And it's kind of moved with the way I've moved in terms of being a creator. So that's why we are where we are today. So this is episode 140 of the podcast, but it's kind of episode 1 in terms of doing them with a video element. So I'm not proposing that this will be super polished from the off. I'm recording it audio-wise through my usual Rode deck, but I've just got a kind of LED light here and a GoPro. I may up the technical game. We'll see how that goes. There's always room for improvement in these things. But I'm not going to do a super big edit on the video. It's something that I can, I suppose, help, or something that helps with the video format, is that you can kind of overlay things as I'm talking about them. So I'll see how that goes. I'll play with that a little bit as I go through the edit. So yeah, I mean, in terms of the podcast, I did mention it briefly in my Sanderstead 150 Limpsfield Road mystery video that I actually do run these, and it's just really because YouTube was sending these emails, and I don't obviously respond to every single thing that they ask me to do, but I thought it makes sense. It keeps them in one place, and if you already listen to the show and continue to want to listen to it through Apple Podcasts and Spotify and Amazon, I've got my notes here, and the piece of tape's gradually falling down. All those things are now going to happen. So, yes, you can continue because I'm going to dual post it or dual upload it. But obviously this is just another way should you prefer to consume podcasts in this format. So I hope that all makes sense so far. So in terms of the show content, I'm not really looking for it to be any different than it is now. It's a bit about my kind of creative stuff that I do. There's some behind the scenes and maybe some little kind of hints and things and experiences that I share, plus a bit of diary stuff because life does get in the way sometimes, and I'll share some of that as needed. But one thing that I've been doing also, again, a YouTube prompt, but also from a guy called Jevon Dovey that I follow on YouTube. He did a 30 in 30, so 30 shorts, not shorts that you wear, YouTube shorts, so videos of less than 1 minute. He did that as an exercise, and it was very positive for his channel. So I'm looking to do a similar thing, and the engagement's already been quite good so far. I've sort of mixed the content, but the important thing is about making these videos on brand. So, I did create some shorts and talked about Crystal Palace and fuel shortages and a few other rants and things in the past. They're still on there. But more recently, so the ones I've been doing for about the last 8 or 9, 10 days, will be far more connected with what I do in terms of the sort of local history work. So you'll see as you go through there'll be Croydon stuff, Haddington stuff, and beyond. And the nice thing is, it's a way of using some material that I may already have. It's been brilliant in terms of already to this stage, in terms of the workflow side of things. So it's made me bring a sharpness to decision making. to pinpoint the material that I'm going to need to produce, upload, edit, scale, whatever. It's helped with the usual thing which takes a long time in videos, which is choosing music. And I will be reusing some of the music for these type of videos because I've not thus far done any voice elements. They've just been kind of stuff that I've put on the screen, as it were, with a musical background. And it's helped to speed up some of the research. So I wouldn't say I am a speed researcher now, but I already had a handle on certain information. But the key thing you need to do with these shorter form videos is to try and tell the best story you can in that time frame. And it's quite hard to do. And there's an element of this which is just to do it for the experience of it, so that 30 plus videos down the line hopefully will be better. It should help my long form my long form work, but overall just tighten up everything, so it sort of helped me from that perspective. And at the end of the day, is an advert for my channel, so that's an important part of where this is all going to as well. I want to grow my channel, so it's an important part of that. So yeah, 30 and 30 shorts. If you look at my shorts feed on my channel, you'll just be able to kind of flick through these. Now what YouTube does, excuse me, still a bit of a frog in the throat. What YouTube does is it just kind of shares these with its shorts feed. So you just do the title of the video, #shorts, and it kind of pushes them to people who might be scrolling through the shorts feed. So when I look at my analytics numbers, they often have a big peak. And I think, what day was it? Saturday, I believe. We're now on Tuesday night. Saturday, I did one on King Henry VIII in Addington. I think it's had over 300 views so far. And that shot right up. So likewise today. So I did one on Croydon Whitgift Centre this afternoon. That's already had about 70 odd views. And it only went live, mid to late afternoon. So that's what YouTube does, but it's still discoverable through, searching and hashtags and all those good things. So it's been a good experience so far. I wouldn't say it's been a chore, but it does mean that I'm having to set aside a bit of time to do that. And the way the weather's been, and I've had a bit of under the weather recently. It's just been it's all lined up nicely for me to create these shorts. So I hope you're enjoying them. I did have some feedback earlier today saying from somebody who subscribed to the channel that they are enjoying them, which is great. Thank you very much. And I do enjoy the engagement that the YouTube provides through the comments. So please keep those coming. Now, one of the other things I've been doing in the last week or so has been a theatre shoot, like a production stills or type shoot. I just call it theatre photography because it kind of makes sense. So this is where I've been hired to photograph a production. This was Galaxy Train, and it was at the Other Palace Theatre in Victoria. And it was basically for sort of three elements to the shoot. So I did an initial rehearsal shoot at the rehearsal rooms, and then I did the formal dress rehearsal shoot. These are always a quick turnaround. You have to work very quickly to get the images out to the client. And then there was an extra where one of the actors was sort of making his debut or London debut in this show. And we met up with him and makeup artists and costume people on Saturday around some of the sort of main tourist sites around the sort of Tower London area. And we did some modelling style shots for Misato there. So that was really good. And I was I was travelling with limited kit because I know that the more gear that you wave around, and it was a windy day as well, but the more gear you wave around, the more you're going to draw eyes and possibly security people and whatever. Not that we were doing anything untoward. And it all went well until we did one little shoot on the concourse at Victoria Station. And I said, well, what we'll have to do is go in light, so just me and the model, and I'll kind of quickly get the camera out, focus, shoot. And I did that for a while, and then there was a tap on the shoulder saying, oh, I'm not allowed to take photos. And the guy was really pleasant, really sort of smiled as he spoke with me. It was all very kind and respectful. And to be honest, I wouldn't mind betting that he kind of watched to make sure that I'd got some first and then told me. So he still did his job, but, you know, we were kind of done then, and we just took a few outside, and that was the end of the shoot. So, yeah, I mean, you know, people have got their jobs to do. You know, it's one of those things. I believe and I understand that large chunks of London, excuse me while I croak again, chunks of London, are actually, you're not allowed to take photos anywhere. But of course, smartphones, hello, you know, no one's going to ever be able to police and control that. Can I just apologise for this coughing? I've got a drink here, like some cranberry juice, no less. It often happens. I don't know why, but I apologise. So that's it. Now, in terms of the other video work that I do, the long form stuff is most certainly here to stay. That's not going anywhere. That's the kind of key part of where I style myself as a filmmaker. And I'm very close to completing the research on a biggie for the Croydon typhoid outbreak. And I've got another couple in plan. One is over at Caterham on the Hill, where there's a preset walk, which I'll do. It's already been prepared, scripted, little photographs by the guys down at the museum, maybe been sponsored by somebody else. But anyway, that's on plan to do. And the other one will be a local walk. I won't reveal too much about that at this stage. That won't require too much effort to kind of execute. But it does require the decent weather. So we haven't really got that at the moment. We've had a lot more rainfall recently. I actually predicted earlier on in the year, I said, we're having a dry winter, relatively. We can have a wet spring. I wish I'd opened my mouth, because to get to those situations as soon as possible, get out there filming. I've got various things in the pipeline at different stages of prep. Some require more than others. You know, it just depends on the level that you need to get to feel that you've told the best story that you can. So I've got kind of different levels within that. But yes, the research always continues. It never stops. And I think just one other thing that I briefly mentioned earlier that I'd like to kind of mention again just now in closing and wrapping up, because it's quite a short episode this week, is the comments. So I love it when people comment on the videos. It's amazing the different stories that you guys have got that have been triggered from me going out and just doing like a walk and talk of Whiteleaf or Wallingham or wherever it may be. There's a lot of kind of a nostalgia element that comes back, and it's great to see. It also prompts me then to sort of go out and revisit some of these areas in a bit more depth, because I've mentioned in, you know, one or two videos in the past that I see these as very often a part one or a stage one or whatever it might be, and that there's either enough for a kind of general sequel to sort of fill in the blanks, or just to go deeper in one or two elements of areas that I've covered. So it's what you see out there at the moment on the channel is not just a done deal. There will be other things that will come along. So that was episode 140 of the Phil Swallow podcast. Thank you very much for joining me in whatever method. Hey, you may have even done it on video and audio. Who knows? But yeah, thanks very much. And please put some comments down below. I'll also add the links to where my podcast audio versions and kind of back issues already are up to 139. And I'll see you next week.